That looks really good.
Look what we're building.
Watch out for poison ivy. It can look like this, these big hairy vines climbing up trees. I collected a lot more materials, some grasses, tree boughs, lattice type things, bark. I've also changed locations on my friend's property, but it turns out that this area is really an intense mosquito breeding ground. And how do you deal with mosquitoes in a primitive situation, really? I mean, if you don't have any modern stuff, I mean, either you cover your body completely in mud or clay, and that's something, but I don't think it really does everything. And my friend gave me this netting, so maybe I'm gonna do kind of a primitive / modern foraging situation where maybe you find some old netting and you have to make do. Now here's my ridge pole. Make sure it's strong enough, you know, not to break on you. That's coming up too, these Y sticks. These are really sturdy. I have some reinforcing Y sticks here too, but those aren't necessary. It's just because I had them. I'm laying down some grasses to create a raised bed situation before figuring out a creative netting internal barrier. I have a little bit of dry grasses that I collected the other day that I kept under my friend's porch. So I'm gonna add those in to be a nice little bit of a drier barrier for the raised bed. Look at them in there. They're in the netting. Gross. Look at these vampires in there. Ew. I'm realizing what I actually need to do is net on the ground first and then grasses on top of the net, because otherwise the mosquitoes can just bite me right through the net, unfortunately. I've put the netting down first. I'm not exactly sure how I'm gonna close it up, but at least I've done that much. Now for the grasses. I'm gonna raise the bed even more. Let's see if I can fold it over now. I have created a decent draping cocoon situation. Some clamps. Maybe clamp it here now to itself. I've just wrapped it around and connected it at the top in some makeshift way. Now there's a doorway to the cocoon basically, but I need to close that up. I'll be able to crawl in there, which will be really nice. But I need to be able to close this now and easily from the inside. I just made a little knot. Just gonna roll it. The question is, will it be effective? And can I get in and out without it being the most inconvenient thing in the world? Close it up from the top. That's not bad. There's some space so they can't bite me through the netting. It's kind of relaxing. It's very peaceful in here. Time for a little soup. Definitely need some. Just got over not feeling well. And some sweet potato. Some blueberries. Can never go wrong with blueberries. Time to build the ribbing. It would be nice to just sleep in this overnight, but it's supposed to be down to like 40, I think. And that'll be a little chilly on its own, so I'm gonna build the outside up a bit. So now we have some ribbing. That's like a skeleton. Drape that. Add some grasses. Now it's all covered in lattice work and grasses, which will make piling leaves next easier because there's like a surface. This is some turmeric, ginger, and mint tea with honey. I've been eating and drinking way too much garbage lately, so it's nice to just be out here, and I packed some healthy things with me because I haven't been feeling well, and you can't just get better and then sleep in a mosquito net debris hut in a damp temperature and also not bring with you anything good to eat or drink. So eating better things, drinking better things, always good. Let's add some leaves now, especially to the feet area. It gets drafty. Now these leaves are wet, they're super wet, but they still will be insulation. It's coming along. There could always be more insulation, but it's not the dead of winter. If it was winter, I'd want at least 3 feet of debris on the outside, which I don't have right now, but also the wet conditions have made the leaves less fluffy and aerated than they might be otherwise. And also on the inside, if it was cold conditions, I would want this whole thing to be stuffed with leaves. After I did all this, then I would stuff all of this multiple times with leaves and then put my body in there and then stuff it again and then put my body in there and then stuff it again. But that's the end of my materials for right now, which is always the thing that happens. And we'll just see how the night goes. We'll add some bark now for some windproofing and rain. This is from my previous collection, relocated here. I'll give bark a try as a door as well, just to windproof a little bit, because a big draft comes in the door at night and you need something to plug it, either a bunch of leaves or you build a door. with like lattice work and stuff, but let's see how just some bark does, because I can pull that in behind me. So it's not totally waterproof, but it's a lot better than nothing. And it does block the wind quite a lot too. These little pieces I'm gonna scrap because they're too small to be worth the energy to assemble them. Get in there. And my friend gave me this blanket for overnight in case I get chilly. I can still stay out here, so I'm gonna put that in. That's just a little backup if I need it. And I'll add in my wool skirt too, just in case I need that overnight. Okay, come here, kitty. It's dusk now. Can hear the frogs. Heading in for the night. I'm gonna pull the door. Well, I made it to 3 o'clock in the morning, but I was chilly. It's about 44 degrees, so that's not even that cold. I should be able to be warm in this shelter for negative degrees in the winter. So the fact that I'm cold at 44, I really need to improve the insulation. I've been working on this since, I believe it was in the fall, before winter hit. And I get over there when I can to my friend's place, and this time I'm bringing over some material from my place to add to it. Gonna put this in my car. Back at the camp on my friend's little property homestead. Let's check out what's going on. Things have fallen down. The doors have fallen down in the wind. It's still looking fine in there with the netting and everything going on. And I'm gonna pull this stuff off and let the leaves dry out a little bit, because it actually is sunny today, finally. It's just been rainy and wet and cold and tornadoes and all sorts of stuff. But today, it's very nice. Because it's been a couple of weeks, I thought that the wet leaves would be musty, but it's actually this really pleasant earthen smell, like kind of like your garden, or it's not musty at all. It smells like something really nice, really pleasant. So we'll see if we can get these to dry out a little bit. Something to keep in mind that I'm learning from this experience is that you need several feet on either side of the structure where it's going to be built out with the insulation. And I'm running into being very close to poison ivy on the edge here, and that's less than ideal. So when you're making your shelter, make sure you think about several feet out, like 5 feet out. Is there poison ivy? Is there bees' nests, ants, whatever? See, it's very close to where I'm trying to work. It makes it hard to make the shelter better, take things apart, because one side is kind of crowded with poison ivy. Pull this brush off too. It's nice and windy, which is cool for this purpose, and sunny. It's really pretty ideal. I've got a packed lunch my husband was nice enough to make me because I was running quite ragged. This is some milk with peanut butter powder, so it's peanut butter milk. and this really nice caprese sandwich. 50% off. Awesome. I need to stuff these dryer leaves from my place into the inside of the netting and just approach stuffing the inside like I would if there were no netting. Really, to make this, I have to put the outside back on so that it's creating some weight and then stuff it. So let's fix up the shape a little bit. We fixed that up. Let's add back the lattice. I'm really gonna stuff the foot side because it's always so drafty. Put the leaves back on. What's interesting about making this is that I feel really connected and I'm not scared or freaked out at all about sleeping in there. But when I'm at home in my bed in my house and I think about doing this, I think, oof, that's gonna be hard and uncomfortable. But the actual experience of it, enjoying the materials, I mean, we're just touching all these materials in our day-to-day life that's like plastic and, you know, it doesn't feel good. Screens, these things, they don't actually feel good to touch. But these materials, they feel good to touch. They smell like the earth. And because you're working with it and making it, you don't feel creeped out about it. You're not like, oh, how am I gonna sleep in there? You just feel like you made it. You made this shelter and it's going to keep you warm. And it's just like when you're a kid and you jump in piles of leaves. You weren't like, oh, leaves, gross. Sometimes when you have a blanket, you think, oh, it really needs to be wrapped around my feet more. Well, the same thing here. If you need it wrapped around your feet more, you have to figure out how to get more in that area, more cozy. Or if you're always cold in the middle, then you need more here. There is an art to packing it so that you create a little cocoon for yourself. See, that's where my legs go in there. Put the bark back on now for some rainproofing and windproofing. Now with the bark this time, I'm really considering where is my body actually going to be? It's turning into dusk. There it is with some bark doors. The bark does okay. Still, there's some dead air space in there at the head height, which is always pretty cold, so we'll see how it goes. I still don't really have enough insulation. It's really wild how much insulation it takes to be warm. I have this pile outside as a door plug, you know, to pull in some extra leaves if I need it. It's still a little wet and it's honestly not enough leaves, but it's something. I've got this sliding door of bark for the entrance. And inside I've got my backup wool blanket and some warm clothes and the netting and the leaves. And we'll see how tonight goes. Will I be warm enough is the question. I'm actually gonna bring the leaves in closer to pull them in if I need them. Now we're looking more like this. I'm beginning to understand it's about creating a amazing down blanket cocoon out of leaves for yourself. The last step is to put a few heavy things on the outside in the case of a storm or heavy winds. When you're having a fire, just make sure that you're far enough away from your debris hut so that it doesn't have any sparks flying towards it, because your debris hut is essentially a giant tinder bundle. All right, I'm heading in for the night. I'm in the debris hut for the night. I do feel the sleeping bag type of sensation. I don't have enough on my upper body, though I still need more debris. It's 6:55 a.m. I did sleep through the night. I was not the most totally warm or comfortable, but I was way more than I had been before. It's definitely chilly. It was a cold night. I can't remember what it dropped down to. We'll have to check. I did end up recruiting my wool blanket for my upper body because I didn't have enough leaves or grasses to provide a blanket, and there was dead air space. But my lower body was pretty cozy with just the leaves. Looks like a nice sunny day out there. I also really tested it. I wasn't wearing any long underwear. I wasn't wearing any wool. I was just wearing a really thin shirt like this, and these pants, which are pretty thin. I checked the weather and it was in the 30s last night. So, you know, this structure is supposed to keep you super cozy warm if you build it right, even in negative degree temperatures. Still be totally warm. So I'm not there yet, but I was decently okay at 30 degrees. So that's something. I wasn't exactly comfortable. I mean, it's a survival shelter, and to get in and out is tight, like a lot of scooching and stuff. You're not just walking around your house or something. Now I'm gonna go home and definitely check for ticks. I already pulled one off me in the night. The biggest issue is that the structure is too tall. Because the taller a structure is, the more debris it takes to cover it, and I can't seem to get enough debris to cover it at all with the thickness that it needs. And also, there's too much dead air space on the inside, so even though it's less comfortable to make it lower to the ground because you can't move as much with your body, ultimately you're able to insulate it more. So next time, I'll lower the Y sticks to bring the whole profile lower to the ground and create better insulation. Heading back over to my friend's house. 1 week later, and a beautiful day. This time, I need to dig some holes and lower the Y sticks into the ground so that they imitate shorter sticks. Here we are. Door always falls when I'm not here. I've got my netting in there, keeping it closed up while I'm away, because it's been a week in between. Let's get this stuff opened up and lower that entrance. I dug this little hole. It's about a foot deep to put this leg in, and then I'll do the same on the other side. I've got the feet of the Y stick in holes now, and the height is now up to about just my upper femur bone. So it's definitely shorter than it was before. I dug it a bit further down, and now it's about up to like upper mid thigh, and that seems pretty good. The profile is much more low now. So the size of this entryway now is a lot easier to keep the draft out because it's much smaller. Really, it's just body sized now. Okay, time to rebuild the outside and see how the debris covers with the smaller profile. Taking some of the debris off the very end because it's longer than my body is, and that's basically another issue. If you make it too long, again, you have more debris that you have to put on. So it's really, what I'm discovering is like you really want it to be about your body size and not a lot bigger, so that you can actually pile debris on without being totally exhausted and overwhelmed by the amount of debris required. Here's the new version. The opening is really quite small. Some smoked salmon, chive dip, and some little crackers. That was really good. I'm gonna have another one. Yay. I went to a friend's show and now I'm coming back to spend the night. I'm pretty tired. Time to get in there and see how it goes. See you in the morning. Good morning. Ooh. Well, I wanted that night to be a perfect example of pure comfort and total warmth and ultimate success. I did sleep through the night. I wasn't amazingly comfortable. I was still a little chilled. However, I will say that it's very obvious why I'm chilled. I have not filled in enough of the internal space still. It's always the thing that I sort of don't quite do. Your coldness comes mostly from dead airspace, too much space, and not enough insulation, which is solved with making less space for you to have to fill. So until next time, when it's a cold season again, I feel that I have learned a tremendous amount. I keep leaving space above my body, but really it needs to be totally filled in so that you are just really immersed in the leaves and that there is no dead air space, because that is what's chilly. I did sleep through the night. I didn't have any extra added gear. So I'm not leaving you on a totally perfect note where everything was exactly amazing, but I am leaving you with better understanding from where I started. Of course, I'll check for ticks and all that. Make sure if you're doing outdoor stuff that you check for ticks 2-3 times a day, 4 times a day on your body, and just take any off. And always collect materials from unpolluted areas. Take the learning, take the imperfect success, and let next time be ground up from my learning lessons.